Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Record of the Ear. I'm your host, Ryan Lark, and this is a podcast all about me screaming into the void about whatever album I'm obsessed with that week because none of my friends want to hear it. I'm going to be dissecting the album, not really the artist as much, maybe bits and pieces there, but really focusing on the album as a whole, as a concept. I'm going to be going track by track, evaluating them, talking about them, giving my opinions, and finding out at the end how I rate it out of every criteria I can think of. And over the course of however long this podcast goes, who knows, I'll see how it ranks. All right, well, today's album is starting off with probably my favorite record or album ever of all time. Album is akin to what I think is Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette, where it was a huge, mind-blowing hit that skyrocketed them to fame, and then didn't really have another album that hit quite as hard, even though they released several more, except for maybe one you could argue, but that was really just one track on that album that did well. This is Tracy Chapman, the self-titled album and debut album of Tracy Chapman herself. So a little bit about the stats and awards of the album first. All the songs are written by her alone, no one else, just her in the studio writing them. It is one of the best-selling records of all time, selling over 20 million copies worldwide, and is one of the first albums by a female to sell over 10 million copies ever. The album won a Grammy for Best Contemporary Folk Album. Fast Car, the track number 2 on the album, won Best Female Pop Vocal Performance, and Tracy Chapman herself won Best New Artist because of it. And that was all in 1989. So let's just dive in right into the track listing. So the first track is Talking About a Revolution. This is one of an incredible, inspiring track. Became an anthem for the civil rights movement in the 80s and 90s. It's still probably used. It's a fantastic track. The little details she puts in it, where when she says a whisper sounds like a whisper, and she whispers like that just really emphasizes and gives it a really beautiful flair to the song. I really love it. Now, I'm going to be taking each track by songwriting and recording and talking about what my opinion is out of 10 with those. So for songwriting, I would definitely give it an 8. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful song that is very well written and just very poignant on its opinion on where things are and how effective it is at delivering that message. The actual recording of the track, I'd give an 8 as well, because that is just, it's arguably one of the better tracks on it. Not arguably, actually, it's my opinions. It is one of the better tracks on the album. Track number 2 is a song that you can't go to any karaoke bar without hearing some sad drunk guy singing it. Fast Car. It's beautifully written. Obviously, it won her awards and is one of her most well-known songs, especially off this album. It's beautifully written. It's a song that takes Tracy Chapman into a younger version of herself and tells a story of how the struggle of deciding whether you want, making the decision of staying where you are to take care of the loved one rather than going out and living your own dreams, which that's a thread throughout the entire album, I would say, is being stuck in a town and wanting to leave. And I would give Fast Car probably a 9 for songwriting. It's a beautifully written song. She's just such an incredible storyteller, particularly with this track. And the recording of it, just the melody and the bridge especially, beautifully recorded. I'd give that an 8. So, Across the Lines, it's a really well illustrated story about segregation, the injustices that occur because of it, and the fighting that occurs because of it. She does a really great job of analyzing it and delivering it in an effective manner, and I would definitely give it songwriting, probably a 7 out of 10, and the recording 6 out of 10. I like the recording of it. I'm gonna say five's average here, so it's just like slightly above average. The recording is pretty good, but it's, I mean, nothing jaw dropping. Now, Behind the Wall is probably one of my favorite tracks on the album as well. It's very haunting, extremely unique. It's so stripped down, telling a story of abuse and neglect by the police. I've really never seen a track like this on an album, especially on any album in modern day, at least by a major artist. She really just strips it down, and it's all just no acoustic guitar, no band, no drum, nothing. It's just her singing, and it's not a spoken word, which I don't would not enjoy. I've seen spoken word on other albums, but singing just her, one vocal, it really just drives home the message that she's really wanting you to focus on, and it really just, I don't know, it's just really unique, and it's very haunting and mournful and really hits deep. So I would definitely give that an 8 for both. I think that's one of the better tracks on the album. It's really gives that album a very unique feel. All right, the next track is, I should say, Baby Can I Hold You. It's a little cheesy. It's just the standard, I mean, love song, basically. It's still effective, and maybe it's not fair to say it's cheesy because I don't know that many. I'm not brushed up on all of the albums of that era, and maybe the standards of today, it's just cheesy because of that. So maybe it's still a good song, and I would give it 6 for songwriting, 5 for recording. It's pretty average, but still worth listening to. Definitely not a skip on the album. The next track is Mountain of Things. It's a little ironic. It's about greed, material things, just wanting more and more, never being satisfied. It's a little ironic because it's on an album that skyrocketed her fame and arguably gave her a ton of material things, but for that reason, I think it's a little funny and I enjoy it. But it's a fun song. I really enjoyed the recording. I love that marimba that's on it. It's just very unique, the melody, at least compared to the other tracks on the album. The actual melody is very fun and upbeat. Meanwhile, it's talking about this greedy person that probably will never be satisfied with anything, which I always love when there's a uncomfortable message behind a very upbeat song. So I'm going to give it a 6 for songwriting, 8 out of 10 for recording. Now the next track is She's Got Her Ticket. And when I listen to this song, I think it's a response to Fast Car. Fast Car is, I'm stuck here, I wish I could get away, and She's Got Her Ticket is the response saying, I'm finally able to get out and nothing's going to stop me anymore. Maybe that family member in Fast Car that was holding her back passed away or was able to be freed from them. Maybe they just got sick of it and they wanted to leave and nothing's going to stop her. But I really love that call and response of these two tracks. And I think I'll talk about it in a minute, but I wish the placement was a little better of where these tracks are. But I really enjoy that song. It's really nice, talking again about wanting to get out of a situation, having to get out of a situation, this situation being the town that they're in. So and I would give that an 8 for songwriting and 7 for recording. I mean, it's just a beautiful song. I know I've been saying that about every track, but I mean, this is one of my favorite albums of all time, if not my favorite album. So the next track number 8, is called Why. And it's really well written about the illustration of hypocrisy in our world, why things happen when really there's no need to, but obviously it's more complicated, and just learning how she views it and talking about why that is. I mean, it does get kind of repetitive when it's like, oh, why is this here? Why is this here? I mean, it's almost like a list, which now that I'm saying that, it's like, I guess it's not that inventive of a song, but it's still a pretty good track. It's like slightly above average, so I would give it 6 for both songwriting and recording. The next one is For My Lover, talking about a blind and abusive love. Um, it's it's really sad. I mean, talking about having to go to jail, having to put up with abuses, just everything you don't want to have to deal with. Um, which leads me into the next track, um, For You. Oh no, that's not it. It ties in with For You, and I'll talk that in a second. But For You, or For My Lover, geez, I keep saying that wrong. I'd give it a 6 and 7 for songwriting and recording. It's good. It's good, but I don't love it. Um, if Not Now is is the 10th track. It's another song that ties the album together about wanting to escape. Um, just in what I'll say in a minute. I don't know. Maybe I should just say now. I'll talk about it in a minute. Never mind. Um, just wanting to escape the town and wanting to get away from all the problems and injustices and everything in where you are, but clearly they're everywhere, so you can't really escape it. Um, it's a really good track. I give it a 7 for songwriting. It's just really well written. The storytelling is fantastic, and 8 for recording. I really like If Not Now's recording. The melody is, it's very soft and somber almost, which I really enjoy. For You is, I mean, honestly, one of my least favorite songs. It's another love song and the aftermath of an abusive relationship. I think it would be to me it's like a response to For My Lover, track 9. It's the aftermath of the nasty abusive relationship, and they're picking up the pieces of themselves afterwards, and it's nothing, again, mind blowing. So I give it a 5 for both. Um, Collectively, I added those up and averaged them, and it gives an average of 7 for songwriting and recording throughout the album, to give it a total of 14 so far. So talking about the collective album, I think the songwriting is clearly the strong suit for Tracy Chapman. She is, I think, one of the top two, like that one being Dolly Parton, songwriters of that generation. She's just so distinct and so good at storytelling. It's mind blowing. But talking about the album as a cohesive unit, the common thread of being stuck in a town and wanting to leave because there's all these injustices happening and wanting to escape them. I think she could have told a clearer story if she had changed up the way the tracks are listed. And I don't know how they did it in that age before Spotify and streaming, because you can just click on whatever track you want to listen to now. But maybe they put Fast Car towards the beginning, the track number 2, because they wanted people to listen to the whole album. I'm not sure, but I would change the order to have the first track be For You. You get a picture of the relationship and maybe get a hint as to why they're in this town still. Then you maybe move into one of the injustices, and then you later, towards the middle, beginning of the middle, you go to Fast Car and introduce having to stay in that town while the other person wanting to leave. And then keep talking about how introducing those songs where you get all those injustices and everything that's going on in the town that makes it so terrible that we want to leave. And then you introduce If Not Now, towards the bottom of the middle, showing that they want to leave, they're going to leave, they're making plans to leave. And then I would make the last track the bookend, where they finally get away, and they're just going to leave no matter what and be able to escape. I think that would really make it a more cohesive and better story for the album. I really enjoy when artists really think about the storytelling of their albums. I'm really interested in understanding why. I couldn't find anything on why she did put those tracks in that order, but obviously she had a reason. And maybe she didn't end it with Got a Ticket because you can't really escape the issues she's talking about, so it's not good to end on a, quote, positive note. But as a collective album, I'm going to give it a 10, even despite that, because it is just, chef's kiss, beautifully written. Every single track, nothing's a skip on it. Everything has a point. Everything has a story. Everything connects. I just love it. But probably my favorite record or recording on it would be Mountains of Things. Mountains of Things is just, I mean, like I said, it's the marimba, the melody, the songwriting that ties into the recording. It's just really well done and different from everything on the track. Yet the other one might be, if I wasn't Mountains of Things. I feel like it's not fair to choose Behind the Wall because it's not much of a recording. It's just her singing, but I really like that song. My favorite song, and because of the songwriting, is Fast Car. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. It's clearly one of the best tracks on the album and most recognizable for her. Adding up everything, that brings it a grand total to 24 out of 30, which is not as high as I thought, honestly. I don't know why I thought this was going to be higher out of 30. Only 24, it's 6 away, and it's my favorite album. 24 out of 30, that's so weird. I don't know. I'm worried about what the other ratings are going to be. I guess average would be 15, and that's 9 above, so that's not that crazy. But, yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And I encourage you to listen back to the album and take a look at the lyrics. And feel free to give me your opinions in the reviews, ratings, whatever. Let me know what you think of the album. What do you think of my opinions? Tell me what I'm wrong about. I'm always down to hear other people's opinions because, again, I have no one else to talk to about this. I cannot stress that enough. But yeah, thank you so much for listening and have a great week. I'll see you soon.